Okay, we're going to talk about triangle similarity. You should have these notes from iTunes downloaded. Make sure you put them in Notability. And we're going to talk about how you prove triangles are similar. When we had congruent triangles, we talked about you could prove them similar by showing that all three sides were congruent, or that two sides and the angle between them were congruent, or you could do angle side angle to prove they were congruent. Remember that when we say that triangles are congruent, that means that they're the same shape and the same size. Now, that's not true for when we're talking about similar triangles. With similar triangles, we want to make sure you understand that they're the same shape, but they're different. The size is different. Okay? One is just like the other one, except for it's smaller or larger. But otherwise, it's the same. And the sides, while not congruent, the sides are proportional rather than congruent. So we're going to look at how we can prove it. There's three ways we can prove it: angle, angle, similarity; side, 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 similarity; and side, angle, side, similarity. Those are our three ways of proving that triangles are similar. All right, so first we're going to look at angle, angle, similarity. And for that one, what we have to be able to do is show that two corresponding angles are congruent. So, look at this first triangle. You can see that angle A and D are congruent, so we're going to mark those congruent. Angle A is congruent to angle D. However, you can see that B is 74 and E is 31, so they're not congruent. But if we could find the third angle, the missing angle, we might could find it. So let's see what measure of angle C is. So the measure of angle C, I'll see if I can write it up here. The measure of angle C is equal to 180 minus, oops, sorry about that. If I touch this wrong on this screen, it doesn't write. 180 minus 74 and 75 plus 74. 74 plus 75. And when you put that in the calculator, it turns out that the measure of angle C is equal to 31 degrees. Measure of angle C is 31 degrees. Therefore, C is congruent to F. So we have two congruent triangles. So therefore, these two triangles are congruent. And we'll write it as angle, angle, similarity. And then we write the congruency statement. We would say that triangle ABC is, I'm sorry, not congruent statement, similarity statement, is similar to D, E, F. And that's your similarity statement. Okay, so that's for example 1. Now, sometimes we have to look for our special angle pairs. The special angle pairs are vertical angles, corresponding angles, and alternate interior. If you look at this one, you'll see that we have vertical angles right here at X. These two angles are congruent because these are our vertical angles. So therefore, since those two are congruent and this one is congruent, these two are congruent because of those angles are congruent. Therefore, these triangles are similar because of angle-angle similarity. And therefore, we would say that triangle WXV is similar to triangle ZXY. Okay, that's our similarity for angle-angle. The next one is the side, side, side. Now this is the one that requires some work. Okay, so you want to match your numbers. Match the two small, the two middle, and the two large. So on the first triangle, 3 is my small number. On the second triangle, it is 6. So I'm going to have 3 over 6. All right. On this triangle, my next number is 4 and 8. So 4 goes over 8. And then my large number is 5 and 10. So 5 goes over 10. Now, what you want to do is you want to divide. Divide the top number by the bottom number, and you'll get a decimal. That's okay. 3 divided by 6 is 0.5. 4 divided by 8, 0.5. 5 divided by 10, 0.5. And if this video stops real quick or you hear me holler, it's because I got a wild dog in the room right now. So all three of those ratios work. So these two triangles are similar, and that would be side, side, side similarity. And we would say that triangle QPR is similar to triangle TSU. Now all three sides have to come out to the same ratio. Okay? Just remember that. All three have to come out to the same ratio. All right, now let's look at side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. So on this one, you see that K and N are congruent, so I kind of color them in so I can see them. Dog. If I had time, I'd stop and put you out. All right, so then 8 and 6 should be proportional, so let's mark those. We want to show that 8 should go with 6, and that 20 should go with 15. Sorry for the glare. Trying to keep you from getting too much. All right, so now we set up our proportion, and we're going to do 8 over 6 should equal 20 over 15. Now, if you just have two numbers like this, what you can do that's just as easy is to cross multiply. So 6 times 20 is 120. And 8 times 15 is also 120. So when you can do that, then you know that those sides are proportional. If you cross multiply and you get the same number, then you're okay. That's what you want. So these two triangles are similar because of side, angle, side. And we would say that triangle KJL is similar to triangle NMP. All right, on this next one, if you look at it, notice that we've got a small triangle, which I've highlighted purple, inside this big triangle, which I'll outline here in kind of a dark blue. So the angle that belongs to both of those is angle A. So let's mark it, because there's your congruent angle. So for the small triangle, we have 12 over 21, because that's the big side. So we can do 12 over 21. Okay, and then on the other side, the short side is 15. and the long side is 25. All right, and we can simplify or we can cross multiply. I don't have my calculator up. So if you cross multiply, let me see if I can grab that calculator real quick. Of course not. Here we go. All right. So let me go back to Notability. Sorry. In class it didn't take so long because I had everything open. Oh, yes. It is just not working. All right, so we want to do 12 over 21. So 12 times 25, we'll just do it like this. And then 15 times 21. So 12 times 25, 300, and 15 times 21. Oops, what happened? Oh, 15, 12, 21, 15 over 25. Teacher can't. All right. That's what happened when I can't put them up. Well, anyway, just believe me, if you cross multiply those, they came out the same. I just put my numbers backwards. Okay, so let me write it down and then we'll prove it. We'll come back to that. All right. Now, here's what we needed to talk about. We're not going to talk about all of these, but remember I said you had to be sure that you look for special angle pairs, and our special angle pairs are vertical, corresponding, and alternate interior. That goes back to Chapter 3 when we learned about special angle pairs and parallel lines. So, on this first triangle down here, what we're going to look at is that CD is parallel to FG, and we have a transversal. And for the transversal, I'm just going to pick DA. So here's my transversal going through. And therefore, if I look at this angle and this angle, whoops, not that one, sorry, let me get rid of that one. That angle, put it in the wrong place, and this angle, these angles are congruent. And the reason why is that angle D and angle EF are alternate interior angles. And then our second pair are our vertical angles right there at the center. So alternate interior. They're inside the parallel lines. They're inside those two red lines. Here's your transversal, and they're on opposite sides of that transversal. That's your alternate interior. So these are similar due to angle-angle similarity. Okay. Same thing with this one. We have parallel lines, so let's mark those. So here are our parallel lines. Now let's mark our transversal, which is M to L. Well, if I do alternate interior on this, that's not going to work because it'll be on the outside. But what I do have is that this one and this one are congruent. And those are congruent because they are corresponding angles. This one is in the bottom right corner of that intersection. And this one is in the bottom right corner. And remember, we talked about the fact that corresponding angles are in the same place or in the same corner, but at a different intersection of the lines. So M is congruent to Q. So we can say angle M is congruent to angle Q because they are corresponding. They're corresponding angles. And of course, angle L, I'm going to erase this line. Erase that, make it a little bit neater. Angle L is part of both triangles. So that's your second one. So again, that one is congruent by angle, angle, angle. And our two triangles are triangle LQP, which is similar to triangle LMN. LMN. All right, let's go down. All the others, I don't think you'll give you any problems, but we want to go down and look at $15. Down here at 15, because this one's a little different. On this one, we're going to try to use side, angle, side. And in that way, we have to be able to say that M and P are congruent, because here are my two sides. I have this side, which needs to match with that side, and then this long side, which matches with that side. And the angle between them, those we have to be able to say they're congruent. So what we need to look at, and the reason we can do this, again, these two lines are parallel. So this top line is the transversal. So if I look at M and I look at P, then what I'm going to see is that they are congruent because those are those corresponding angles. Okay, corresponding angles. So now all I have to do is show that the sides are proportional. So I'm going to have 54 over 33 has to equal 36 over 22. So we can cross multiply and get our calculator. I'll clear that. And I'm going to do 54 over 33. Okay. And then I'm going to do 36 over 22. Notice that I got the same number both times. Now your calculator won't, your Script 3 won't do this because this is the version that I paid for I think it was $2.99, which believe me is very much worth that little bit of money because it'll do a lot more than that free version that the school gives you. If they will allow you to download it. That's the only catch, because you know how they are about downloading things. And I don't want you to go get your iPad locked. So if you think about it, you might want to do it. Check with the hub first. All right. So that's really what you're going to do. You're just going to look at those and check your sides. We'll do one more. And let's look at number 14. Okay, we have a vertical angle at F. So I'm going to mark that F and F. But now here's the kicker with this one. Where are my two sides? Here and here. Is F between those two sides? No. No. What I need is this angle. I need this angle right here, the one between, and it's not showing. So this one is no. We cannot show that it is similar because the angle is not between the two sides. Look again. See? That angle doesn't touch the two purple lines. So therefore, we cannot do anything with that. All right, you have your worksheet for this is in iTunes U. there was a paper copy of it, but there's also an electronic copy of it. The paper copy of it is really smudged, so what you can do is just use the electronic copy that's in iTunes U, but write your answers on notebook paper so that it can be turned in for me to grade. Okay, so that's the lesson on proving triangles are simple.